What's up, Tailgaters? You're in the booth with Tailgate Nate today. Welcome to my channel and welcome back to our Power 4 projected standings videos. Again, they're all going up today. And the final conference we have yet to talk about within the Power 4 realm is the ACC. They added some new faces this year as well. We'll tell you who those are, as well as go through the standings here in just a little bit. But I got to say, earlier this summer, guys, I went through and predicted each and every one of the 134 college football teams across the FBS division of just the best sport in the world in college football. If you guys want to know more about any team you see on screen or anyone else throughout the country, please go watch as many videos as you want. And I just want to thank you for watching this video because it does help support my channel in more ways than you can even imagine. And you can continue to help support what I do here on YouTube by, of course, if you're as excited for the college football season as I am, you got to hit the subscribe button and ring the bell. You want to know when I'm going to be uploading throughout the entirety of the season. I'll tell you what the next couple weeks are going to look like here in just a little bit. But again, anything else you do to interact with the channel helps to support it. Liking, commenting, sharing, again, watching my videos, really anything else you guys can think of. Just thank you so much for your support of the channel, for your support of me. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, we'll go ahead and dive on in now to talking about the ACC. Before we do that, I'll tell you what the next couple weeks are going to look like here in case this is the first video of mine you've been watching since I've done prediction season. So tomorrow or Wednesday, I'm going to be uploading my preseason top 25. When you go ahead and take a look at Thursday, we're going to preview a game that's going to happen within the ACC. Florida State and Georgia Tech are a week 0 matchup. It's the biggest week 0 matchup. I'm going to break it down in a video, and then in a separate video, either later on Thursday or possibly on Friday, will be the rest of my week 0 predictions, as we have 3 or 4 other games, I believe 3 other games that are going to be going on, including another ACC team in the SMU Mustangs as well. When you take a look forward at next week, after your first college football Saturday, we're going to be previewing the biggest games throughout week 1, is telling you what else I'm excited about for the college football season for week 1, just whatever I'm excited about in general. I'll also be giving you my group of 5 standings, my group of 5 projected standings for all of those conferences next week, as well as my college football playoff predictions, other things I'm excited about. Just there's going to be a lot of content coming out. You want to hit the subscribe button, you want to ring the bell. And now with all that out of the way, let's go ahead and talk about the ACC here. So, hey, my projected title game might look a little familiar because it was the title game that happened last season. I'll explain why that is in a second. But for now, I'm going to tell you there are some new faces joining the ACC this year. One of them I've already mentioned in the SMU Mustangs. You also do have the Stanford Cardinal and the Cal Golden Bears coming over from the Pac-12, which again has sort of just almost folded. Yes, I know technically Oregon State, Washington State still there, but I don't imagine the Pac-12 is around for much longer. But you look at Cal and Stanford joining in here, SMU joining in here, some varying levels of expectations for all 3 of those teams. But again, as per usual, I'm going to kind of hit on more teams more so than others, and we're just going to go from top to bottom, kind of talking about why each team is in the standings where it is. Again, any tiebreakers are determined by either head-to-head, overall record, how you fare against teams that ended up finishing higher in the conference, so on and so forth. But for Florida State and Louisville, I mean, maybe not necessarily the best 2 teams in the conference, but I do think Florida State is going to be the best team in the conference this season. Yes, Jordan Travis is gone. Yes, they lost a lot of other pieces, such as Keon Coleman, some really good defensive pieces, especially on that defensive line from last season. But look, you still got Fentrell Cypress to lead that defense, as well as other really talented defensive pieces coming back. DJU is coming in through the transfer portal. You got some other really good pieces coming in offensively through the transfer portal as well. And I still think Florida State probably going to end up being the best team in the conference this year, and they are definitely going to want to get into the college football playoff this season. They did not end up making it last year. They're going to want to get back in this season after doing literally everything they needed to do. They went ahead and won every game. They won their conference title, and they were sitting at home during the college football playoff when they were 13-0. And then again, everyone decided to opt out. They got smacked by Georgia. But besides that fact, I think Florida State's going to be a really good, solid team this year, and I have them finishing on top here of the ACC. The Louisville Cardinals are up next year, also finishing with a 7-1 record in conference, and it's why that they are joining Florida State in the conference championship game for the 2nd straight season. Now, the reason that Louisville is here is, look, Jeff Brom's going to do amazing things with Louisville again this year. They're still going to be one of the better teams in this conference. They got a lot of really, really good talent. Yeah, either Tyler Shuck or Harrison Bailey. That probably will end up being the starting quarterback for you this year. Probably going to end up being Tyler Shuck. Some really good weapons transfer in as well as return there to this team. Again, no more Jamari Thrash, no more Jawar Jordan. Some really good defensive pieces leave, but they hit it out of the park in the transfer portal in pretty much every facet. And the schedule, again, is very manageable for them, just as it was last season, even though you have to play Clemson on the road, which is going to be a difficult game. And I think the lone blemish I have in the ACC for them this year, because, look, they got some tough out-of-conference games. You have to play Kentucky, a rivalry that's been dominated by the team wearing blue, not red. And then you go ahead and take a look at, you have Notre Dame out of conference as well. I think they're going to be really good this year. But in conference, you avoid playing Florida State. You avoid playing NC State. You avoid playing not Georgia Tech. You avoid playing Virginia Tech. You have Georgia Tech at home. You have Miami at home. You have SMU at home. And even though you have Miami, or I should say Clemson, on the road. Again, that's a very manageable schedule for them. I see them navigating it well and then navigate it back to a conference championship game. But if Louisville is not going to be the team to join Florida State, because I think Florida State's going to end up making it in there no matter what, there are many other teams that I think could be joining Florida State in a conference title game. One of them being the Miami Hurricanes. I'll tell you why after a water break, because we all got to make sure we stay hydrated. Look, Miami is very talented this season. They got Cam Ward coming in to play quarterback. Damian Martinez is coming in from Oregon State to play running back. Xavier Estrepo is back. Really good defensive pieces. And I could list off name after name. Mario Cristobal is the head coach. And I think the Hurricanes get it figured out this year. I'm a buyer in Miami this season. But what sells them short of a championship game is, look, maybe they drop that game to Florida in week 1. That's not what I am predicting, but maybe that does end up happening. And again, this is something that you can argue won't happen this year, but it's something you can't argue hasn't happened. Is it's Mario Cristobal's just ability to seemingly blow a game or two, right? It's happened pretty much everywhere he's been. It happened with the Georgia Tech game last season. It very well could happen with the Georgia Tech game again for Miami this year, because Georgia Tech's going to be a sneaky good football team this season. But for the Miami Hurricanes this year, if everything gets put together the way that it should, and Cam Ward balls out, and Damian Martinez balls out, and Xavier Estrepo is a 1,000-yard receiver again, and the defense fits in very nicely, Miami, for all intents and purposes, I mean, should be a team that not only is going to be a player in the college football playoff conversation, but a team that probably makes it to Charlotte and plays for an ACC title. Again, I have them short just because of overall conference record, but a team that very well could break back in there. Clemson and NC State are some teams that can break in there as well. Now, Clemson has been dealing, again, Dabo Swinney with NIL and transfer portal, and I mean, throwing all that out the window. I think the Garrett Riley and Cade Klubnik relationship takes a step forward this season. The Clemson offense improved. The Clemson defense improves. They're going to get better from where they were last year, back towards the maybe not the elite standard that we've seen Clemson at before, but they are going to get better this season. Again, I just think Clemson's inability to dive into the portal and get some pieces in which they need to improve upon in certain position groupings holds them back, and they miss out on the conference title game. But NC State can absolutely get there. Grayson McCall coming in at quarterback, some really talented wide receiver transfers. Jordan Waters is over from Duke in at running back. Very aggressive defense that, yes, lost some good pieces, but still has a lot of good talent there as well. If NC State's going to make a run to a conference title game, this is the year for NC State to do it. This is also the year for Virginia Tech to do it, because a lot returns offensively for them. They get Kyron Drones back at quarterback. Bashal Tootin is back at the running back position for them. A lot of good wide receiver pieces. Defensively, you got some good pieces. A coming back, B coming in. And Virginia Tech, a super manageable schedule for them. They do get Miami, I believe, at home. I think they get Clemson at home, or maybe they have one of those two games on the road, but I don't think they play Louisville. I don't think they play Florida State. They might even avoid playing NC State there as well. It's a manageable schedule for them. They got some good talent. And Virginia Tech, I mean, grew pretty well last season. They, again, were a team that had some hiccups here and there, but this year I expect them to be really good. Now we talk about our first newcomer, and that's the SMU Mustangs, another team that, guys, I think is going to fare really well this season. Watch out for SMU. If you're an ACC fan thinking, it's SMU, they're coming over from the group of five, no. No. SMU is going to be a very good, very competitive team in the ACC this year. while I think it's going to take a little bit for them to get to a title game, I don't think that is out of the realm of possibility for them either. The SMU Mustangs have Preston Stone. He's going to be an exceptional quarterback. Great speed in the running back room, great speed on the outside, great speed and talent defensively. Rhett Lashley's group is going to be ready to go in the ACC, and I think SMU is going to be a very competitive football team this season, much like the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets as well. So again, overall record-wise, yes, you see a little bit of a drop-off between SMU and Georgia Tech, not that much in the conference record-wise, but Georgia Tech, Duke, North Carolina, Cal, maybe even throw Syracuse in there, I think are all going to be right around that mid-tier in the ACC this year, but Georgia Tech, due to a bunch of tiebreakers, because I have them beating North Carolina, I have them beating Duke, sits on top here of this sort of group of 4-4 teams. Georgia Tech is going to be good. If Haynes King can figure out the interception problems, that is the big thing. If he can cut back on the interceptions, he can develop a little bit more as a passer, especially with his decision-making, there's no reason as to why Georgia Tech can't maybe even make a very, very sneaky push if a lot of things go their way for an ACC title game, or at the very least, spoil someone's hopes at getting to an ACC championship game. Georgia Tech is going to be sneaky. Brent Key has a good squad there. The Yellow Jackets are going to be a good team this season. And I even think Duke is going to surprise a fair bit of people this year. You do have, couldn't think of the name for a second, Malik Murphy coming in to play quarterback. And even though you lose a lot of talent through the transfer portal and Mike Elko is gone, Manny Diaz is coming in. He's been a head coach before and has had some pretty solid success. And yes, I know there are people that have their certain opinions on Manny Diaz, but I think with Malik Murphy at quarterback, with some of the other talent Duke has coming back and even coming in through the portal offensively and defensively, I think they're going to be a little bit of a mild surprise in the ACC this year. I don't think that, again, the record is going to change much overall. Maybe the talent is a little lesser because, again, you did lose Riley Leonard, you did lose Jordan Waters, you did lose some other really talented pieces. With Malik Murphy taking over at quarterback, I think you'll see good success. You still have Jacques Moore in that running back room as well. I think Duke is going to fare just fine this season. North Carolina, I think they're going to fare fairly well this year as well. Omarion Hampton is still there. He's one of the best running backs in college football. But taking over the quarterback position is Max Johnson. How good is he going to fare? A big, big shoes to fill because Drake May, obviously a top 5 pick, top 3 pick even in the NFL draft this past April. He's with the New England Patriots now and probably going to be their future starting quarterback. North Carolina's got a lot to replace in general. They lost some good wide receiver weapons, some good defensive pieces, such as Miles Murphy on that defensive front. But North Carolina, I still think has some really good pieces, especially if Max Johnson comes and gives them some solid quarterback play. Well, the Tar Heels, I think, are going to be faring just fine this year. Talk about our second newcomer now. It's the Cal Golden Bears. I think it's going to be a good season for the Golden Bears this year. Cal's got some really good players, getting in some very, very exceptional transfer portal pieces. Jane Ott coming back there at running back. Quarterback play, you might have Chandler Rogers, you might have Fernando Mendoza. Both of them have shown really good things, and Chandler Rogers, I think, just had put together some really good seasons with ULM and North Texas. Mendoza was there and showed some good things with Cal last season. Defensively, you got some really good pieces. And again, SMU is the newcomer you got to watch out for. I think they're going to be the team that fares the best out of any of the 3 newcomers in the ACC this year. But don't sleep on the Golden Bears either. If things go well for Justin Wilcox's group, I think Cal's going to be a team that can roll this year, a team that I have, again, maybe much like Duke, me being a little bit of a mild surprise this year, but Cal, I think, is going to be able to get to a bowl game, and they're going to have a solid record at the end of the day. Syracuse is here at 7-5 as well. A little bit of a worse record in conference. In fact, the only team in the ACC that I have going 3-5, so they kind of stand alone here, but I would pair them in the similar category with the likes of Georgia Tech and Duke and North Carolina and Cal. Syracuse got Kyle McCord transferring in, new head coach in Fran Brown. And look, I think Syracuse is going to fare pretty well this year. They have some really good talent in the secondary. And I mean, look, Syracuse has at least in recent memory, put a lot of defensive backs of theirs into the NFL. Fran Brown, a former defensive back head coach at Georgia. Yeah, I think that's a match that works pretty well. Again, I think people are really going to start to figure out how good Kyle McCord is. Not saying he's like an elite level quarterback or anything like that, but he was under a big, heavy microscope in Columbus. He's not going to be under as big of a microscope here at Syracuse, but there are going to be some college football fans that watch him and I think are going to be like, wow, he is a lot better than I remember him being. Again, that's just because he was under one of the biggest microscopes you can ever be under in Columbus, Ohio. I think he was a solid quarterback for the Buckeyes. He'll be a solid, if not really good quarterback for Syracuse, and it's going to lead to some good things for the Orange in Fran Brown's first year. Those are all the teams out of the ACC I have making bowl games. Maybe Syracuse misses one. Maybe Cal misses one. Maybe North Carolina even misses one. Duke's the team that I have surprising a little bit. Maybe even they miss one. But these teams, I think some of them are close, but they don't quite meet into a bowl game this season. That's Boston College, that's Pitt, and that's Wake Forest. Pitt, we're going to start with them because it can't be worse than last season, right? They're going to get better. They just had all the injury bad luck last year. They got some really solid offensive pieces, really solid defensive pieces. Eli Holstein is going to come play quarterback for him. Rodney Hammond and some other really talented pieces in that running back room. Got some good speedsters on the outside there, and just overall some really good wide receiver talent. But the defense has got to replace a lot, got to fill in some gaps. I think Pitt is close. And again, counting out Pat Narduzzi is a bad idea, so could have egg on my face. But I think Pitt misses out on a bowl game. Boston College, they got Bill O'Brien coming in. They also might be close, but I think they just miss out on a bowl game there as well. We'll see if Thomas Castellanos can perform at the level he did last year, and if Boston College overall takes a step in the right direction. Wake Forest, I think, is going to be fairly close, but I don't really see them making a bowl game this year. Just a lot of things to figure out there for that program. Some overturn at the quarterback position, probably going to get Hank Bachmeier coming in there to play for him, and just overall some overturn there for Wake Forest. Now on to Virginia and Stanford. It pains me to say that Virginia, I think at the end of the day, will be the second worst team in the conference because I think this is a better football team than last season. They improved on talent. They improved in so many areas, but I don't think things pan out that well for Virginia, and quite simply for Stanford, I just think they're going to be one of the worst teams in Power 5. I don't want to talk any more about Stanford. I don't have to talk any more about Stanford. I don't think that's going to be a very good football team under Troy Taylor this year. They're last in the conference. Repeat of the ACC championship game, but I think Florida State's the best team in this conference. I have them winning the conference championship and getting a first-round bye into the college football playoff. Let me know what you guys think in the comments section below. Remember to play hard but tailgate harder. Tomorrow, I'll be releasing my top 25. Goodbye.